Okay, now you can see just to the top corner of the door. You can't see much of the driveway.
So that's too low?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit.
Cool, we got a security camera out here.
Woot woot.
And you can talk to me out at the workshop.
Do you think that if I yell, you'll be able to hear me over power tools?
Probably not over power tools, but I could hear you if my windows were open. Hold on.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah?
Okay.
So I owe a huge thank you to Kiana. She's one of our subscribers, and Kiana works for a company called Sun Life. She sent us some products in the past. There was a weather radio that she sent us, which Shauna really likes the weather radio. I'm indifferent about it, but she also sent us a power generator, which has become extremely useful when we're on the road filming. We're able to just take battery packs and plug them into it, and I've learned to really love that thing. And I did a video with some hurricane tools and equipment, and I featured that in that video. Of course, I think she said that they were sold out of those, but again, it's some very useful products. This last time she sent us some security cameras, and here's the reason why I want to thank her. We go on the road a lot to film. As you know, we've been trying to help generate some funds. All of our videos are really supported by our subscribers, but we've been trying to get the Meet My Neighbor show back on the road, so to speak. And we were able to raise a couple $100 last week through you guys, and that got us back on the road. We went into the Appalachian Mountains where we filmed a food forest, and it's a permaculture food forest, and it incorporates a lot of different research. The individuals who built it, they go by the name Survivor Jane and the Survivalist Gardener, but they're authors, very intellectual people who have put a lot of research into how nature works with each other to help these plants grow. And so they've got herbs and berry bushes, and actually their blueberry bushes are like 10 feet tall. I didn't know blueberry bushes got that high.
They don't normally.
And different fruit trees and nut trees all mixed together in this forest. I mean, it looks like a forest from the ground and the air above. They call it the secret garden. We're going to be doing a Meet My Neighbor on them. It takes us, from the time we film it, it takes us 60 to 90 days to produce those Meet My Neighbors, because the editing quality is much different than these videos that I do with you guys. We spend a lot of time putting that information together, and hopefully when we're done, we create a video that's exciting and informative for you guys, while also giving, you know, some of these small agricultural producers some great exposure. And they have a lot of different things going on their farm. They've got an interesting pig rotation system that they've been implementing, and they raise goats, chickens. They have ducks that help maintain their forest, their food forest. So very fascinating stuff, and we'll be getting that video out sometime this fall, so look forward to seeing that video. But while we were gone and we were traveling, we had a problem here on our property, and we were able to recognize the problem and react because of these solar powered cameras. Kiana sent us a bunch of these solar powered cameras, so we've been placing them in different spots around our property. And honestly, Kiana, we can't have enough of these cameras. Feel free to keep sending them to us. These cameras are fantastic because they're Wi-Fi based. So our house has cameras, and around our house has cameras that are all wired into a central system that I've just always used. And I've been looking at upgrades for that system as well, but it's one that I know I can access and use while I'm on the road. But it's somewhat limited. I can see videos, I can't hear what's going on, I can't talk to anybody on our property. These cameras, I can see, I can hear, they alert me on my cell phone when there's activity. And again, because they're solar powered, I could put them in different spots on our property to cover all our blind spots. And there's no wiring involved, and they just power themselves. But what happened, and this is what I wanted to get to, is what happened when we were gone. somebody didn't break into our property. We have our sheriff's department actually has a monitoring system. When you go out of town, you contact the sheriff's department and they put deputies in the area, and they kind of, you know, can modify their patrol pattern to accommodate people who are traveling. And so that's great, and we have somebody who comes out and checks on the animals. But what they don't understand, because they're not around our animals every day, is when something is amiss. They can't look at an animal and see that an animal is in distress or an animal is not doing what it should be doing. We can do that, and these cameras help us do it. So on our property, we have multiple barriers of fences, and anybody who lives on a farm knows this. You have your perimeter fencing, which is kind of like your fail-safe. It's what keeps everything in check when they get out of their areas. And sometimes they do get out of their areas, but most of the time it's by mistake. They'll squeeze out of an area out of curiosity of something, and then they've got the perimeter fence, which they usually won't mess with because they've got plenty of space once they get out into that area anyway. And then we have, you know, our different paddock fences. This area that I'm standing in right now is actually going to be for smaller livestock, and we're trying to figure out how high we need to take it to keep our chickens within a certain area. We want to give them plenty of space to free range, but we also want to make sure that they are not getting into our front gardens and just wreaking havoc on things like chickens do. There are benefits to the chickens being able to get out, so we let them out every now and then. Like right now I'm working on rebuilding some of the soil in our front paddock, and so we've been dropping bales of hay out there, and I'll do a video on this. But the chickens will actually go out after the cows have gone through the bales and trampled them down, and the chickens will go through and scrape through the bales and poop and fertilize it, and now we've got some fresh grass growing up in those areas. Grass that we were having a hard time growing up there before. So there are benefits to the free-ranging chickens, but the concept is to be able to put everything in their area. And when we leave town, we like to try and put things in their areas. Keepa is used to being in the livestock paddocks because she's a livestock guardian dog, and that's her job. So she's just kind of, you know, she's a very friendly dog, but you know, when it comes to control over an animal like this, it's better to have some extra fencing around them. And she loves those that she babysits for us. Winter, on the other hand, is a perimeter dog. She goes everywhere, and there's not a fence that really can keep her contained. She doesn't go past our perimeter fence. She's extremely intelligent, but she just likes to be out and wander and go to different areas. And because of that, we have to be a little more careful with her, just because, you know, she could get into things when we're not around, like skunks. For the most part, Winter is very good about staying near the house, but you know, we just don't always feel comfortable with her wandering. So we've tried several times to put her in a kennel. This kennel is just here. Keepa likes to go in there. I think it makes her feel secure when she's sleeping during the day. I don't know, but the kennel is always open. She goes in and out. And so when we left town, we thought we'd put Winter in the kennel. And we've tried it in the past, and she's gotten out, and our dog sitters called us up and said, you know, Winter is back on the front porch. And so we've just kind of let her do her thing. But we thought, you know, this time around, we were only going to be gone for 24 hours. We didn't want to have to go through the whole process of bathing her and stuff because of the things that she gets into. So we tried putting her back into that kennel again, and she escaped. The other thing is, when she gets out, it makes us nervous because we're not here. We don't know what she's doing all the time. But with these cameras, we were able to communicate with her while we were gone, because she escaped again. Like I said, she's an escape artist, very intelligent animal. And we were able to make sure that she was in the areas where she would normally be as if we were here. And we did that by talking to her on different cameras at different times of the day to get her into certain areas that we wanted her in.
Good girl, Winter. Good girl.
It was interesting how this time around, those cameras really helped with our communication with her, and the other animals as well too. We could tap in and say hello to Keepa.
Keepa. Come here, baby. Keepa. Good girl. There you go.
They'll wag their tail like, okay, I hear you, but I don't see you. It was kind of like having a second pet sitter on site constantly, who anytime you wanted to check in, you could check in. And things happen on farms. You know, just this morning, one of our cows was in our front yard. Apparently somebody had left the gate latch a little loose, and our escape artist Lisa just kind of opened the gate. She usually, what happens is she usually gets a horn on something and she opens it up, and she ended up in our front yard. And so when we're gone, you know, if something like that happens, we can see it and we can figure out how to fix it. Luckily, Lisa only seems to get out when we're here. And obviously when we're gone, we put locks on things, which kind of help prevent the problem of gate latches coming undone. Locks go a long way, but when we're here all the time and we're going out doing our chores, it's easier to just latch it and not put a lock on it. And you know, some animals have figured out the latching system, and if they just want to, you know, go to a different area for a little bit, they, you know, meander their way through. So if you have animals and you travel a lot like us, I know that it's always a concern, regardless of how many different precautions you have in place. It just gives you this peace of mind to be able to get on a camera, see the animal, communicate with the animal, and help that animal feel like you're still around, but also feel like you've got more control over the situation that's going on at home. But anyway, here's the download on how to set these things up and some of the benefits for you.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you too. These Watchman cameras are solar powered. They connect to your home Wi-Fi, and if you have an outdoor Wi-Fi extender, so you can get even longer range, they connect to that. So they're pretty fantastic. I like the fact that I can put these anywhere I want to, and I don't have to run wires. I can just connect it via Wi-Fi. Now, Sun Life is a Chinese company, so the instructions do come in Chinese. Of course, they have English on the back. But these cameras are very simple, and that's what I like about them. They're super simple technology, and like I said, I can put them anywhere. They work great. These cameras also have a floodlight on them, so at nighttime, if somebody walks up, like we have one on our shop, if somebody walked up to our shop, floodlight turns on, it starts recording them. Busted. Boom, busted. And you can use a cloud service to back these up as well. Of course, they do have their own internal storage, and that's good. If you're gonna put it outside of your Wi-Fi zone, it can operate like a trail camera, only a solar powered trail camera, and store the information on it. I prefer to have everything go into a cloud. I like having everything stored somewhere that is completely inaccessible to somebody that comes onto our property. Now these, when you unpackage the box, there's solar panels attached. You can take the solar panel off if you need to. The only reason why you would need to take the solar panel off, in my opinion, is if you're going to be installing the camera somewhere where you don't have direct sunlight, like on our shop roof, we don't have sunlight directly above the camera, so we've removed the solar panel, and you have a long cord under here, and you can put the solar panel in a better spot to get sunlight, but that's the only place where we've had to do that. Most of the places that we've put these have just been out in direct sunlight, so we haven't had to detach them. You just put two antennas on the back. They go on different sides, so you have to make sure that you check and make sure that you're putting the right antenna on the right side back there. There's really nothing else that you need to do to set these up. They have a little piece of rubber down here. Remove that, and inside there's a switch. Turn that switch on, and the camera turns on. You can see the lights on there. Make sure you put this rubber doodad back in there. So the app for these is super easy as well, and I'll go through how to set it up on the app with you. The app is called MyCam. So when you open up MyCam, it has a list of all your different devices. My shop thinks I'm trying to talk to it. And we'll go through some of these features in a minute. want to add a device, you add an AP cam, and what you're going to do is connect directly to the camera. Now it's going to give you an option to configure an external network. So you could run this camera just as an AP camera off of your cell phone, and that way when you're in range of the camera, you can pull the camera up. I connect it to our Wi-Fi network, and the reason why I do that is because I want to be able to access this camera anywhere that I am. I'm not going to show you guys this part, but you put in your Wi-Fi password.
Connection start.
And now the camera is connecting. So you notice that she talked to me. These cameras you can talk to people through, and they can talk to you through the camera.
Successful.
And the camera talks to you as well. After the camera says connection is successful, sometimes it takes the app just a little while longer to catch up. It's at 32%.
Connection successful.
All right, and I am connected. You can see me on the camera. It's pretty simple. Now that I've got this camera connected and it's recording to the Wi-Fi, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set it up. This camera, we've got several of these around our property now. I've got a list to scroll through, and I can select cameras wherever they are. I'm going to go ahead and install this one just in a spot where I can see our animals when I'm away. So these have a pretty simple hardware kit. What I like to do to attach this frame to the bottom of the camera is remove it, set that aside, and that gives me better ease of access to the screw holes to get this on. So I got a couple screws in here. So this is just going to be a temporary placement. I'm not going to leave this here. Normally, when I put them up in a spot where they're going to be permanently, I use longer deck screws. But because this is just going to be up temporarily, I'm going to move it later. I'm going to use it with regular screws. What's nice about it is when I put this up, I will be able to talk to my animals. Some of you guys don't do that, but we do. We talk to our animals, they understand us. Sometimes it's just nice to be able to check in with them when we're not here and talk to them. They'll actually acknowledge the cameras and come over to them. Now I'll just take my camera, sit it back in the direction that I want it to be in. Tighten this top one up right about there. Like I said, I've already signed this into our Wi-Fi, so that is set up and ready to go. I'll just check it on my screen here and make sure it's where I want it to be. These things take just a second to load. Having a slight connection issue. Keep up. So I've got a pretty good angle on that. I can see the back side of our house. I can see our chicken coop. I can see the dog pen. And we've got some more kind of around the property. So we've got some nice vantage points with these that we can't get from our wired system. I like these better than our trail cams. We have trail cams a little further out from the house, but what I'm gonna do is actually invest in an outdoor Wi-Fi system so that I can put these even further out, because the fact that these upload to a cloud and they're visible security, people know when they come on our property that they're being videoed. I think these are just, overall fantastic little cameras. Super easy, super simple, decent video quality. There's a little part of me that doesn't like using cloud services because I don't want the government tapping in and seeing what's going on. While I'm home, if I can operate these, there's an SD card inside the camera. I can operate these off of the SD card, and I can put them on a Wi-Fi network that's not connected to the internet. Just a kind of a Wi-Fi network around the property that will give me an alert system on my phone or on an iPad that I have set up just for these in the house at any time. So I can use it as an off-net camera system using a Wi-Fi that's just using an old router to connect everything. But when we are out of town and I need to have access to it, I could change all the cameras back over to our Wi-Fi system. And once you kind of program them, it's pretty easy to switch Wi-Fi systems. We can put it over on our net system, and they'll also, not just store to the SD card, which, if somebody stole the camera, they'd get the SD card, but it can also store it to a cloud so that if there is a security problem, this camera can communicate with the cloud, and whoever stole the camera is going to end up in your cloud, and you can share that information with the police. So there's some great benefits to this. For such a simple design and simple system, I need simplicity. I love this camera system. We're actually right now we're working on developing a longer range Wi-Fi system with an outdoor router that'll allow us to put these cameras on the back far side of pastures because they'll have longer reach. And I believe that you can get more powerful antennas that you can screw in place of the standard antennas of these, which would give you a incredible range on a camera system like this. And you don't have monthly service fees unless you use the cloud service. But for the cloud service, you can get 7 days of memory for $50 a year per camera, which that could add up. But if you consider, those data cameras that operate off of cell service, those are about $100 a year. So you could still have some pretty good benefits. And if you're like us and you have a lot of cameras on your property, chances are, if you're not storing to the cloud, one of your other cameras is going to pick up on somebody tampering with one of your cameras. And you could always take pictures as it's happening on your cell phone, download the videos on your cell phone, do whatever is necessary if you don't have the cloud service. So you could operate these with no service at all and still have access to all of that information. I mean, the Web Connect, to be able to connect anywhere on the app, is totally free.